Yes, I just have one further question for this witness, if I may, Your Honor. Could you please tell this court approximately how much money you made last year selling cocaine to high school students? Really? So now you maintain you didn't make a dime selling cocaine to high school students last year? Well, thank you for finally admitting that you in fact are a drug dealer. Too bad you're such a bad businessman. No further questions, Your Honor. Now, that was a classic example of the use of the fallacy called complex question. It's one of the 5 presumption informal fallacies that we're going to study next. Each of these 5 has one thing in common. They all have an assumption which is used presumptively in order to arrive at a conclusion. But that's where the process of reasoning breaks down. If a premise has an assumption buried in it that is so obvious, so blatant, and so clear, then that premise really cannot be used to support the conclusion validly. We'll study false cause. Post hoc propter ergo hoc is the Latin name, which literally means after this, therefore because of this. This happens when we confuse temporal sequence for causal connection, a very common fallacy. Next, we're going to study begging the question. Happens all the time. Its Latin name is petitio principii. And then there's a set at the end called accident and converse accident. This is when we falsely suppose that something which is true in principle, in general, applies to every member of a certain category, or when we falsely suppose that an outstanding individual therefore means that we can apply a general rule. We're going to study each of these in great detail, but sufficient for this is to introduce that these all have buried assumptions. And when we use an assumption in the course of an argument, we make a presumption. And that's why all of these are called fallacies of presumption.